Hey everyone, those who have a motorcycle should be no stranger to this product from Cardo. This one is the Scala Rider Team Set Pro. It's an intercom system for motorcycles. They really haven't changed much over the years. They have like 7 or 8 different models of this, which is essentially the same thing with bigger batteries or whatnot or so forth. But you look back all these years ago, I turn over the box, the features are pretty much the same, except the concept of an MP3 player built into a phone was foreign. There's kind of like a separate headphone jack for an MP3 player. Be that as it may, this product worked good for what we needed to do. At the time, costing around $300. Still got the box with all the original stuff, and this was advertised as an intercom, not as a walkie-talkie, though these are like glorified walkie-talkies. Still got the original alcohol pad. Let's move on. Definitely designed around planned obsolescence. We could see that the rubber coating has deteriorated, turning into a sticky mess. It's like, I don't know, it's like surfboard wax. And not only is it disgusting to touch because of the sticky mess, but the battery's dead. I push in, I've left it charged, the light never turns on, and most people would just throw them away and drop more money for new ones. But do you need to? Let's see how much new ones will set you back. And I'm going to choose the Spirits, which are their lowest end model to be fair, costing you $95 a piece. They have an offering to buy a pair for $180. This would be the best option if I had to buy it, but I could fix mine for about 30 bucks. If for whatever reason you wanted a bundle with the John B. Lancey speakers, you add them on. And now they're charging $233 a piece, so now up to $466 for this set. I'll take my chances on a repair before a new purchase. First thing, of course, is to make sure our charging cable works, so we're going to test that now, DC. And we see unladen, about 9.1 volts. Turns out the negative is on the outside. Same value on the other one. The shell confirms that 9 volts is the power supply, so everything is just fine here. Obviously, I've already tried charging, it doesn't work, but I want to plug the power in, having tested the power cable. And what we're going to do is wait a few seconds. That red light should turn on. If it doesn't turn on after 10 seconds, just to make sure this works, I'm going to hold down this button right here, just where that light is, and after several seconds, that light should turn on. It's not actually charging, but it shows us the electronics are working inside the unit, and that's good enough for me to say we could repair this. If that didn't work and that light didn't turn on, I might be out of luck and be forced to buy a new set, but it did work, so I'm able to continue. We have 4 outer Torx screws to remove right here on the bottom of the shell, and those are going to be a T6. While I'm taking the screws out, I want to point out that the effective range of this is around 200 meters, while the effective range of the one that I compared it to was around 400. It's obviously much newer, but I wanted to say that so that if somebody points out in the video that it's more expensive, but it has a bigger range, yeah, it's true, but it's still $30 to repair this one. These have sealant inside of them, so I'm working from the back here, and I'm getting a screwdriver in, gently prying, and as I pry, that sealant is just slowly disconnecting. So I'm just slowly working it, and this is the safe place to pry where you're not going to hit a circuit board. And as I do that, the sealant becomes weaker. Definitely take your time on this step so you don't break anything, and work from this side as I'm doing. Eventually you'll be able to pull out this piece right here. That's the cover for the charger. Put that off to the side. And now I can continue, and I have that starting point to put the screwdriver in, and then I'm just, again, pushing away to just separate the sealant, and enough is away that I'm able to peel both pieces away from each other. No damage done. Looking inside, we see 2 further T6 torque bolts right there, which I will now remove. Try not to lose. And then I will peel this open, again, separating the sealant. There are cables holding it on one side as well as the battery. So I'm disconnecting the sealant as I move along, remembering not to break anything or the job will not be a success. But we will see as I peel this, there are 4 cables that go to the edge connector. Peeling up the battery. Opens sort of like a sandwich, and we see the battery, which I've disconnected. And there's our 4 cables over here. Flip the battery up and we'll have a look at the numbers. 400 milliamp hours, and I have the model. I'll provide a link on Amazon for a pair of batteries that I purchased for this job. Some people may not be comfortable soldering or desoldering small wires on the board. In that case, cutting as close to the battery as possible to provide leads for the next step, like shown. The old battery could then be removed. I will not be doing this. I'm going to be soldering directly to the board, but I wanted to show that example. I'll be using a magnifying glass for this, but I won't be showing the camera through it. The camera will be off to the side, which makes my job a little more difficult. But first I'll be applying some flux to the connections to make it easier to flow. Pulling back on the cable as I heat the other end with a soldering iron, the cable comes right out. I then unpack one of the new batteries, and as I take it out and compare the size, the dimensions are the same, but the old one's a lot thicker. The leads are pre-cut, so I'll pull the tops off, and then dip it in the flux just to get some on that lead. Heating from the opposite side, I push the lead right through, no problem at all when using flux. Inspecting my work under the magnifying glass, I see that everything looks good. I move on to the red wire, putting a little bit more solder on the iron. I repeat the exact same process, although it's harder to see from this angle because of the way the position is. But when completed, I check my work again and make my way back to the other bench. Everything will need to be folded back in the correct order. The battery sits in that plastic slot down there. I'm not going to use any glue to hold the battery in. I do want to make sure that the two wires aren't crimped in the middle connector area. So I'm just going to make sure that they wrap around with a little bit of service loop. Fold the circuit board over. Inspecting as I do this. We see the battery's in position, and it will shift as I work on it. I'm just going to have to push it back in position on the right-hand side. The service loop is managed on the black wire side here, as well as the red wire. So now everything seats flush, and we can put the two small screws back in on the board. Not tight until we inspect everything, but just seated. Everything looks good. Nothing's being crimped. I do want to push that black wire in just a little bit. I find it to be just a little bit out. Check that red one more time is good. And yeah, everything looks fine. So now I'll tighten these screws down. It's not really tight, it's going into plastic. Now a quick function test before I continue. Plugging in the power, and it takes about 5 seconds before the light should turn on, so we'll wait. And there it is. So that's a good sign. We can see that the light is illuminated. We're not going to charge it up just yet. We still got some more work to do. So we're going to unplug it and continue. We'll put this piece off to the side for a moment and move on to the shell. This is really nasty. I have 99% pure isopropyl alcohol, which takes this rotten coating right off of the plastic. Unlike acetone, it won't break down the actual plastic underneath it, nor will it remove any of the labels that are on the plastic. The paper towel with the alcohol will get most of the surface area of the plastic, but to get within the crevices, I'm going to need to use my brush, which I'm going to put alcohol on. Then I'll scrub all the corners and the crevices to remove all of that white nasty residue from those areas. What we're left with is a clean, matte finish plastic. I'll allow this to completely dry. Then I'll cover it with some Armor All UV protectant. I don't care if it's shiny, I just want a little bit of UV protection on that plastic now that I've stripped away the outer coating. And a lot of it is quickly absorbed, so I find a second application is necessary for this piece. Again, if I was really worried about it cosmetically, I would have used some bumper back to black, which would have made it look like brand new. I install the rubber connector cover, and then the back cover is put back on and clamped together, making sure everything is seated properly. The 4 cover screws will then be reinstalled into the back cover. At which point all 4 would then be snugged down. A visual inspection is conducted. Everything seems to look good. And that's it. Now repeat the whole process again for the other one. Plugging the power cables into both of them We're going to leave them to charge until the red lights go out, and then we'll resume our testing. First, they need to turn on. There's the first one. And there's the second one. We'll come back when they're charged. Fully charged now, both lights have gone out. We'll disconnect them and we'll give them a try. The first test is done helmet to helmet over the intercom, making sure everything operates correctly and sounds good. Obviously, this requires 2 people to do it, and I can't record this on video because nobody'd be able to hear it. The other test is connecting it to the telephone, so I'm going to hold the button in to power it on. Then once it's on, I'm going to hold the button in again. And when it flashes red and blue, it's discoverable. We see on the phone, it will appear on the bottom as headset. And when I select headset, I'll speed this up. Type in 4 zeros. Hit pair. And now we can see Scala Rider Pro here is connected. So that connection's working good as well. So that concludes this $30, 30-minute repair of the Scala Rider Pro headsets. Saved a lot of money by replacing the batteries and cleaning up the plastic. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Helps me out a lot when you do. And hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?